Welcome back to the Deliberate Exchange. My name is Chelsea. I'm so glad that you are here listening. Last episode, I talked about what unraveling actually looked like. And this part in this 4-part series that I'm doing is the part that's where things started to change. And I will be clear, and I'm sure you've heard this particular term, like it was not linear. It certainly wasn't clean. And it definitely wasn't like some big TSN turning point, this is the moment that everything shifts kind of thing. Were there pivotal moments? Absolutely. Were there pivotal things that I did? Yes. But when I really think about it, I had known for a while that something wasn't working. Like I had tried to quit drinking before. I had Googled how to feel better. I told myself I should meditate. I had all of these little moments where I knew something was off, but of course, nothing actually changed because thinking about doing something and actually doing it are two completely different things. When I look back, I can see that I was in that phase where you know, but you're not doing anything different yet. You're aware, you're uncomfortable, but you're still doing all the same things. And of course, nothing changes unless something actually changes. And then late 2019 hit, my stepdad passes away, and I had a couple of moments in that time, and I've talked about it before, but like the blackouts, the situations that I've put myself in, and something shifted. And it was enough that I really couldn't ignore it anymore. And I remember feeling, honestly, late 2019, really scared of myself, of the decisions that I was making, of how disconnected from myself and everybody else I felt. And that felt different than all the other times I had said, yeah, I should probably change something in my life. And then January 25th of 2020 hit, and I decided to quit drinking. And this time it didn't feel like punishment. It didn't feel like I was having something taken away from me. It felt like the right thing to do. I also didn't make a big announcement. I didn't tell a lot of people because I still carried a lot of shame around the fact that I had to quit drinking. But internally, it also felt like I took something back. Like I stopped just going through the motions. Like I didn't just remove alcohol, I started changing how I was living. I was in therapy. I joined a grief group. I started putting structure into my days, like even small things like having a list of things to do when I got home or when I got bored so that I didn't sit there and spiral. Because I knew that if I just removed alcohol and changed nothing else, I would have likely ended up right back where I was. And I know that because I had already done that. I had data. January 2019, I quit drinking, January 1st, and then January 4th, I went right back. Because I didn't understand what was underneath it. Nobody taught me, nobody showed me. I didn't know what to Google. And working with my therapist is what actually got me there. Because for the first time, she challenged my relationship with alcohol, and I started to see that my relationship with alcohol wasn't random. Like it was emotional, social. It was tied to how I dealt with stress, boredom, loneliness. And that gave me a really great opportunity to actually work with. And the universe, of course, works in funny ways because shortly after I quit drinking, I ended up finding breathwork completely by accident. So I'm working with my therapist, and she suggested that if I decide to quit drinking, to put my hands in a basin of ice water if I happen to experience any withdrawal symptoms. And I thought that was really interesting. And so I started Googling about it. And like I didn't have concerns that I was going to have withdrawal symptoms. I knew that it was going to be largely the mental, emotional, habitual aspect of drinking that I had to kind of counteract, not the physical withdrawal symptoms. So I started Googling about the ice and what that was going to do with my central nervous system. And then I found a Goop documentary. Like, I don't know if you remember Gwyneth Paltrow and her Goop series on Netflix. But one of the episodes, she had interviewed Wim Hof. And he is the granddaddy of cold. He does cold plunging and climbs mountains in nothing but shorts. He's like a really interesting guy. And so after I watched that episode, I Googled Wim Hof workshops and I found one. I found a Wim Hof fundamentals course literally the next weekend. And so I went. I signed up immediately. I grabbed one of my best friends at the time, and I went thinking that it was about cold exposure. But I was mistaken, because what it actually involved was, yes, cold plunging at the end, but it was also breath work, like intense Wim Hof style breath work, kind of like the kind that I teach now. Like I don't teach Wim Hof style in particular much, but we did intense breathing for like a long time, holds on full, holds on empty. Like I pushed the limits of what I thought breathing actually was in massive ways. And as a result, I lost it. Like I remember being on that mat in this room and I was crying, I was shaking, I was having things and emotions and thoughts and energy move through me that I didn't even know I was holding. It was a full release. And I walked out of there feeling so light, feeling so relaxed, so unburdened. And I was also thinking like, I didn't drink, I didn't distract, and I felt like I actually accomplished something, and I felt better after that afternoon than I had in literal years. And that was a big turning point, because it showed me something I hadn't experienced before, that I couldn't actually think my way out of this. I had to involve my body. And I understand now way better why that is, because of the education that I have, because of the additional experiences that I've had. But I knew that breathing was like a significant tool. And so I started breathing every day. I was taking cold showers every day. I was moving my body. I was doing it consistently. And truly things started to shift. Like not necessarily my life right away, but my experience of my life. I noticed that I wasn't reacting as quickly. I could sit with things a little bit longer because, of course, I'm still grieving, right? Like my stepdad died November 2019. This is just February. Plus, I have all the residual grief and hurt from my divorce and selling the house and all those kinds of things. What I noticed is that I didn't need something outside of me as much to feel okay. Like I remember getting ghosted by a guy and literally not caring. And that had not happened before. Like I was dating and tied to every single guy that I dated, like thinking like this is going to be it. This is going to be the one, and always being so disappointed and so hurt because they weren't the standard or the expectation that I obviously hadn't set. And that's when I knew that something was like dramatically shifting in my whole being. And there was also a point where I got fired, and I've talked about this in other episodes, but February of 2020, just not even a month after I quit drinking, I got fired, and it was awful. Like getting walked out of a building, not knowing why you got fired, not knowing who to call, who to trust, what I'm going to do next was so scary. It was so destabilizing. And as much as it sucked, it made something very clear that it was not the job. It wasn't the relationship. It's not the environment. It's me. Everything that I had been looking for outside of myself was something that I had to build internally. I had blown up my marriage. I had now no identity. in my work, and I had kept changing companies to try and find greener grass, and if I just change this, if I just get to this point, things would feel better, as I've talked about. But it was always the same me. And when I look back, that was really when I stopped outsourcing everything. The validation, the attention, the relief, comfort. I started building that for myself internally. And of course, like anything new, it felt unnatural. It felt selfish. I felt guilty. Like, what? Who am I to be doing all of this? I should be searching for a job. I should be doing this. I should be doing a whole host of other things. But in actuality, that was a pivotal point and the perfect time for me to pour into myself. And so I kept going because I could feel that something was actually different this time. And I think that this is the part that a lot of people miss. You can know something needs to change for a long time, but nothing shifts until A, you decide, and B, you start living differently. Not just thinking differently or thinking about it a different way, not just journaling about it, not, if I understand this better, but literally living differently. And for me, if I had to simplify it, what actually changed things was, of course, 1, I stopped drinking, and 2, I learned how to breathe. It sounds simple, and maybe for some who are listening, it doesn't sound simple because truthfully, a lot of people look at me and they're like, I could never drink or I could never quit drinking. And I'm breathing it all day, every day. What do I need to learn? But those two things were a fire starter for what was to come and literally changed everything. Because now I understood how to use breathwork to handle stress. Now I wasn't amplifying my emotions, my depression, my anxiety, my grief, etc. with alcohol. And when you are able to think clearly, when you're able to tune the dial on the radio to tune out the static, things start changing really, really fast. You're able to listen to your body more, your intuition, your thoughts, your emotions. You're able to sit with it. Nothing feels so big, I guess, is what I want to say there. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to talk about what life looks like now. The ins and outs, especially from an internal perspective of how I relate to myself, how I connect to myself, how I relate and connect to others, how I think about things. Everything has changed. And I truly wouldn't be here talking into this microphone in this house that I built if I hadn't quit drinking and if I hadn't started to learn how to breathe. Because truly, I think that without the breathwork piece, I probably would have drank again because I didn't have any other outlet. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching it and guiding others through it now, because it changed everything for me. And of course, so did the alcohol. Or quitting the alcohol. So that's it for this episode. Next episode, I'm going to talk about what that looks like. And if this episode has resonated, if you have any comments, questions, please message me. Love to hear from you. And in the meantime, be deliberate and be good to yourself.